We first crossed paths during my final year at college while I was hanging out with buddies. Sarah was marking her 21st birthday at a local club in Nashville when we bumped into each other quite literally. I accidentally spilled my drink on her as I walked by her table. After some initial awkwardness, I apologized and we struck up a conversation as I helped her tidy up the spill. Some might call it love at first sight, but I believe there was a unique chemistry between us that drew us together like magnets. From that evening onward, we became inseparable. A year later, we tied the knot and embarked on our life journey together. I'm Jonathan Parks, though my friends know me as Johnny. With a degree in accounting, I became a certified public accountant at a prominent firm in Atlanta, where Sarah and I settled close to our families. After honing my skills and expertise at the firm, I eventually branched out and established my own practice. Sarah, who holds a degree in business administration, supported me during the initial 2 years until she became pregnant with our delightful daughter, Angel. Our relationship was extraordinary. We were deeply in love and cherished every moment spent together. When Angel came into our lives, our love expanded to include our precious daughter. For the following decade, we lived the quintessential family life. I put in the effort to grow the business while Sarah managed the household and cared for our daughter. Our happiness was evident in our frequent lovemaking, at least 3 times a week. Our bond was founded on genuine love, with deep, sensual feelings for each other. We never ventured into experimentation or rough lovemaking. Our respect for each other prevented any such desires. Sarah enjoyed being doted on, and I took pleasure in pampering her. However, she wasn't keen on below-the-belt pleasures, and only indulged on special occasions, perhaps less than 10 times throughout our marriage. I never pushed her because I was content with our life and cherished our relationship. Sarah's attentiveness was one of the things I adored about her. From the moment we exchanged vows, she showered me with kisses, hugs, hand-holding, and never letting go whenever we were together. The closeness we shared was extraordinary, and every moment of it was treasured. Our friends often teased us, claiming our affection wouldn't last, but after a decade of such devotion, they eventually recognized the uniqueness of our bond. When Angel turned 10, Sarah expressed her desire to re-enter the workforce, now that Angel had settled into a routine and returned home from school promptly at 3:30 p.m. Sarah elaborated that she didn't want to be confined to home every day, but desired to reintegrate into society. Following lengthy discussions, we reached a consensus and devised a plan to ensure that Angel continued to receive the necessary attention for a 10-year-old. Sarah secured employment as a personal assistant to William Aston, a lawyer a decade her senior. The work hours were favorable, and Sarah relished the opportunity to shoulder significant responsibilities, which bolstered her confidence. Transitioning from a homemaker to a professional and mother, Sarah found fulfillment in her new role, and I fully supported her. She managed to return home promptly every day and remained devoted to Angel. With time, our family unit grew stronger. We enjoyed a comfortable existence in a high-end apartment complex with memberships to a country club. Thanks to our financial stability, we could adequately save for Angel's college education and our retirement. Our lives were enriched with good health, financial security, and contentment, free from undue worry. As one might expect, the dynamics of our bed life shifted after a decade of marriage, a common occurrence in most unions. We transitioned from being carnal 3 or 4 times weekly to just twice, typically on Friday and Saturday nights. While our routine became predictable, our love for each other remained strong, and we cherished our closeness. Sarah continued to be attentive, consistently expressing her affection, which I valued immensely. The closeness we shared over the years was as meaningful to me as our physical closeness. Sarah's spontaneous kisses and hugs, simply out of love, were profoundly moving for me and constituted the highlight of our marriage. I reciprocated her love, but Sarah always ensured I knew the depth of her affection. As Angel became involved in the math club and stayed late after school, returning home around 5 p.m., Sarah also began working late twice a week. This arrangement proved beneficial as it coincided with Angel's return home, aligning with my schedule. We were adamant about not leaving her home alone at that age, so we coordinated our schedules accordingly. William, Sarah's supervisor, has recently been promoted to senior partner within his father-in-law's firm. Following his promotion, Sarah found herself needing to put in a few additional hours at work on 2 evenings per week. Specifically, she would return home by 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. During these times, I ensured that dinner was prepared for her arrival after her demanding workday. Despite these adjustments, everything else within our marriage remained unchanged. Meanwhile, my own business was flourishing, providing a stable and satisfactory income. With the company now boasting 45 employees, I found myself fully occupied with expanding our operations. Our accounting firm had garnered a reputation for excellence and was attracting attention from larger firms in the region, some of which were considering acquisitions or mergers. Angel reached the age of 15 and started contemplating her college options and future plans. Sarah remained employed under William and retained her allure, appearing just as attractive as the day we first met. The passing years had been kind to Sarah as she maintained her slender physique, accentuated by her long, appealing legs and well-rounded backside. While she possessed a lovely visage, Sarah consistently exuded professionalism and conservatism. Our shared lifestyle might be deemed dull by some, as we predominantly spent our time at home, whether watching movies or attending family gatherings with our daughter. As a family, we were inseparable, rarely venturing out without one another. William, Sarah's supervisor, contacted me and informed me that Sarah would be recognized at an upcoming banquet next month, and both Angel and I were invited. I excitedly informed Angel that her mother would be receiving an award for her exceptional work in her profession. As this award was unexpected, our attendance was requested, although typically such events were exclusive to staff, and we were instructed to keep it confidential until the ceremony. Sarah's dedication over the past 5 years under William's leadership had not only enhanced her professional fulfillment, but also boosted her self-esteem, evident in her improved demeanor at home. Knowing her diligence and the esteem she held within the company, learning about the award filled Angel and me with pride. Sarah mentioned an impending business meeting at the downtown Ritz-Carlton where she would be working late to prepare a presentation for the entire company. She eagerly anticipated the opportunity and dedicated numerous hours to crafting her presentation in the weeks leading up to the event. Unaware of our invitation or her impending award, Sarah remained unaware as Angel and I kept the secret, eagerly awaiting the ceremony. Anticipation grew as we prepared for the event. I accompanied Angel on a shopping trip for a new dress and acquired a new suit to ensure Sarah's presentation would make her family proud. At the award ceremony, Sarah donned a knee-length dress with an elegant cutout back, projecting professionalism while accentuating her graceful curves. Despite being 37, she exuded attractiveness and desirability. Before the limo arrived to escort her, Angel and I embraced her, wishing her luck with her presentation. With 2 hours to prepare, we dressed promptly and arrived at the venue on time. About 30 minutes before Sarah's presentation, a host greeted us, seating us at a table positioned center stage with a breathtaking view of the podium. Angel and I were made to feel special, with everyone expressing their admiration for Sarah and their delight in meeting us. We felt warmly welcomed and content to be in the company of our wife and mother. As the lights in the hall dimmed, signaling the beginning of the performance on stage, spotlights illuminated the first speaker as they introduced the firm's founder, followed by the CEO and then William, the senior partner. William delivered a brief speech highlighting the company's achievements before introducing Sarah, who was tasked with sharing some of the successes from the past year. Sarah took the stage, radiating beauty, and I could see the pride in Angel's eyes as she watched her mother commence her presentation with poise and professionalism. Sarah detailed the company's accomplishments over the past year, outlining their successes and ongoing projects. After approximately 10 minutes, she concluded her speech, handing the stage back to William. However, before she departed, William grasped her hands, drawing her closer as he addressed the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "before Sarah steps down from the stage, I would like to say a few words. Over the past 5 years, Sarah and I have worked closely together, and she has become an indispensable part of our organization and my professional life. I firmly believe that without her, we would not have achieved the successes she described today. It is with great honor that I present Sarah with our highest accolade, the Chairman's Club Award. This award is bestowed upon employees who exceed expectations and are recognized for their unwavering dedication to the company." Sarah received a sizable plaque and an envelope containing a $10,000 reward. With tears welling in her eyes, she gratefully accepted the check, embraced William, turned to face the audience, and expressed her gratitude to everyone. Angel and I were both moved to tears, overwhelmed with pride for Sarah. Those seated at our table enveloped me in hugs, making it one of our most joyous evenings. Bursting with pride, we couldn't wipe the smiles from our faces as the lights came on, signaling the time for refreshments. Taking a glass, I assured Angel I'd return shortly and made my way toward one of the bars at the far end of the room. Seeing the lengthy lines, I spotted an empty bar near the stage and headed over to procure a double jack and a soft drink for Angel. Feeling jubilant and generous, I grinned as I dropped a $5 bill into the tip jar, collected my drinks, and turned to head back to our table. However, my world suddenly came crashing down. Something caught my attention on my way back, prompting me to turn around and investigate. Behind the curtains, shielded from view, a couple embraced passionately. While such behavior seemed out of place for the occasion, my attention was drawn to the woman's attire. It was the same dress Sarah wore. Turning away briefly, I then froze in my tracks. The couple, engaged in a carnal kiss, showed no inhibition. The woman wrapped her arms around the man's neck, while his hand caressed her backside without restraint. Their embrace hinted at a familiarity that suggested this was not their first encounter of such nature. Clearly feeling secure behind the curtain, they allowed themselves to indulge in carnal feelings. As I witnessed the scene unfold, it felt as though I was experiencing an out-of-body moment. Standing motionless, clutching two glasses with my mouth agape, I watched intently until the pair finally parted ways, confirming my worst fears that the woman passionately kissing her boss, William, was indeed the love of my life, Sarah. In that instant, one of the drinks slipped from my grasp, drawing the attention of the couple. Upon noticing the stares directed their way, a look of shock washed over Sarah's face, snapping me back to reality as my emotions flooded back. I was left speechless, my stomach sinking and a sharp pang piercing my heart. Unsure of how to react, I turned on my heels and made my way back to our table, clutching the remaining drink. Simultaneously, Sarah hurried after me, catching up before we reached our destination. "Sweetheart, I just realized you and Angel were here for the awards ceremony. Thank you for coming. What you saw, it wasn't what it seemed. Let's talk later, okay?" she pleaded. With a silent nod, I continued toward our table, where Sarah was met with congratulations from everyone. Angel embraced and congratulated her mother warmly, while I sat in stunned silence, wearing a sorrowful expression, unable to utter a single word. Sarah mentioned she had a few more tasks to attend to before rejoining us. Observing my altered demeanor, Angel attempted to inquire about my well-being, but I simply shook my head, remaining silent for the remainder of the evening. It was evident I was not myself, and felt uncomfortable in the company of those around me. I couldn't shake off what I had witnessed. It was more than a friendly gesture. In fact, Sarah and I hadn't shared such a passionate kiss in years. Looking back, it had been over 5 years since our last carnal moment like that. Reflecting on those years, I couldn't ignore the changes that had occurred. I sensed trouble brewing, although I wasn't entirely certain of its nature at that moment. As we drove home, Angel and Sarah conversed about the celebration, and Angel expressed her pride in her mother. Still reeling from what I had seen, I remained silent, lost in my thoughts. Both Sarah and Angel noticed my reticence, attempting to engage me in conversation, but I stubbornly maintained my silence. Sarah, recognizing her wrongdoing, attempted to make amends by displaying extra affection, yet I was unwilling to entertain her gestures. I tried to conceal my feelings from Angel, but she sensed my distress and wisely left me to my thoughts. Before retiring for the night, she whispered, "Dad, if you need to talk, I'm here for you." She hugged and kissed me, then went to bed. Without uttering a word, I retired to bed, only to hear Sarah enter the room a few minutes later. "Johnny, are you okay, baby?" Her voice trembled with anxiety as she attempted to comfort me. Climbing into bed and reaching out to embrace me, I turned away from her. "I know what it looked like, and I'm sorry. I don't know what to say, but it wasn't what it seemed. Please talk to me." I lay in silence, consumed by anger that began to overshadow my shock. I refrained from speaking as I had nothing to say to her, knowing any words I uttered would only be hurtful and unproductive. She persisted in her attempts to console me, but I rebuffed her, falling into the worst dream of my life. The following morning, I awoke to sunlight streaming through the window, bracing myself for what I knew would be a challenging day ahead. Recalling the events from the previous night, I struggled to comprehend the situation. After freshening up, I returned to the bedroom to find Sarah watching me, attempting to act as if nothing had happened. "Good morning, honey. Did you sleep well?" she asked, oblivious to the gravity of the situation. Ignoring her question, I dressed and glanced at her before leaving the room. Turning to her with a disdainful glare, I spoke for the first time since the banquet. "How long?" When she offered no response, merely staring at her hands, I left her presence to gather my thoughts over breakfast. My mind was in turmoil. I knew things would change between us, and I awaited the truth about her affair. Sarah understood the importance of honesty, knowing any deception would be discovered. Our bond had always been strong, and she had never given me cause to doubt her fidelity. Despite this, I hadn't noticed any alteration in our closeness, as she still embraced and kissed me as she always had. How can she behave in such a manner while engaging in an affair? I'm perplexed. If she's involved with him, how can she continue to display affection towards me? Is it possible that the woman I adore is truly having an affair with William? Oh goodness, this is dreadful. I'm in disbelief that this has occurred.
William understands he shouldn't display affection outside of his office, but tonight he couldn't resist kissing me. I admit, I enjoyed his embraces and kisses, and the evening was exhilarating, so I can comprehend his enthusiasm. However, he's aware of my strict rules regarding public displays of affection and the risks involved. Now I'm faced with a major dilemma. How do I explain to Johnny what he witnessed? He's not oblivious, and I know it won't be easy. I recall the inception of my affair with William. It began a year after I became his assistant, during a tumultuous period in his marriage. With 6 young children, including twins, his wife was overwhelmed and preoccupied. As they navigated their difficulties, William confided in me about his struggles. Our bond grew stronger, and I supported him through his trials, albeit with unintended consequences. William, a strong and compassionate man, earned my admiration, and I felt compelled to bring him solace. Amidst the turmoil, there were instances where I embraced him, reassuring him that everything would improve with time and love for his wife. During one such embrace, we experienced a surge of passion, culminating in a kiss that ignited a carnal encounter on his office sofa. Looking back, I recognize my selfishness and the trap I fell into. The esteem I held as William's assistant inflated my ego, leading me to believe I was above others in the office. William was lavish with praise and compliments in the workplace, and his imminent promotion to CEO fueled my sense of self-importance. So when I witnessed his distress that fateful evening, I felt emboldened to assuage his emotions. Following a heated exchange with his wife over the phone, William was visibly distraught. Offering reassurance, I hugged him, insisting that everything would be all right. Our embrace escalated into a kiss, and as our eyes met, it evolved into a 2-hour liaison in his office. I was captivated by his influence and surrendered myself entirely. My natural inclination towards displays of affection, hugs and kisses, further solidified our bond and closeness. Afterward, I was consumed by guilt and contemplated confessing to Johnny, but the thought of jeopardizing our marriage deterred me. Upon returning home, I was certain Johnny was aware of my indiscretion. Yet, as always, he and Angel greeted me with unwavering love and affection. My heart ached with guilt, but in that moment I resolved to keep silent, vowing never to revisit the incident. After all, that evening was a singular occurrence unlikely to be repeated. The next day, we had a conversation with William, acknowledging that what occurred would not repeat itself, understanding it was a one-time occurrence we needed to move past. In the ensuing months, we often worked late into the night, and before long, I found myself back in William's comforting embrace. I had no inclination to betray Johnny, as I loved him wholeheartedly and had no desire to inflict damage or jeopardize our marriage. However, being with William was a unique experience. He provided a sense of security with his imposing stature, despite not possessing the physical allure of my beloved husband. William, being overweight and bald, lacked the charm of Johnny. Johnny was well acquainted with William and harbored no concerns about him, placing full trust in me. Consequently, he had no qualms about me working alongside William in the evenings. William's stature, over 6 feet tall with robust arms and a substantial physique, contrasted starkly with his unattractive appearance. The allure of his physicality, particularly his sizable member, captivated me from the outset, leaving me longing for more. Our encounters introduced me to sensations and experiences previously unexplored, fueling an escalating desire for closeness. Initially devoid of love or emotional connection, our liaison evolved over time, fostering a deep affection between us. Remarkably, our affair played a role in salvaging William's marriage. Our time together twice a week seemingly alleviated his domestic burdens. This arrangement allowed me to aid William without compromising Johnny's well-being, thereby justifying my actions and absolving myself of guilt. Meanwhile, my personal life remained fulfilling. Johnny and Angel continued to receive my unwavering love and attention. With William's promotion, our rendezvous shifted to 2 evenings a week, spent in the privacy of his secure office. Despite the clandestine nature of our affair, we agreed to confine our interactions to those designated hours, ensuring discretion. Over the course of 3 years, we indulged in both physical and emotional closeness, transcending mere physical gratification. His office became a sanctuary where we explored each other's desires, each encounter leaving me yearning for more. While lovemaking with Johnny epitomized love and tenderness, William's approach was more intense, pushing boundaries with each encounter. Balancing both relationships allowed me to fulfill different needs without guilt, as if living separate lives with distinct emotional connections. Remarkably, I found solace in providing William the same level of attention and affection as I did Johnny, recognizing the significance of such gestures in fostering desire. During our private rendezvous, I assumed the role of William's confidant and companion, embracing the unique dynamic we shared while ensuring it remained confined to our designated meetings. Neither of us desired to inflict injury on our spouses, hence our bond flourished into a profound friendship grounded in discretion and mutual understanding. Any initial pangs of guilt I experienced vanished, replaced solely by a sense of fulfillment. I felt entitled to the life I led at work, maintaining professionalism at all times, concealing our affair from everyone. William often spoke fondly of his children, with family photos adorning his office walls, cementing his reputation as a devoted father and family man. Similarly, I projected an image of fidelity outside of our clandestine meetings, fulfilling my role as a faithful wife and mother to Johnny and Angel. Despite my devotion to Johnny, showering him with affection and care, I couldn't deny the satisfaction I found in my interactions with William. I cherished our family life and took great pains to shield them from any damage resulting from my actions. Naively, I believed that my time with William held no consequence for our family life, until the revelation brought my misguided assumptions crashing down. Johnny's piercing gaze this morning revealed his awareness of the situation, proving his astuteness. Now faced with his direct inquiry, I grapple with the dilemma of whether to disclose the truth. I cannot bear to lose Johnny, yet I cannot continue living a lie. Tears shed into my pillow offer no solace, leaving me with no recourse but to come clean and plead for his understanding. Despite my transgression, I cling to the hope that Johnny's love for me will prevail, allowing us to navigate this ordeal together.
Glancing at the clock, I recognized that Angel had to make it to her math club at school by 1 p.m., prompting me to confront the truth. Upon arriving home, I found Sarah on the patio, gazing out at the lake with a cup of coffee. Without a word, I poured myself a cup, settled beside her, and posed the question once more. How long? After a few moments of silence, I observed tears trickling down Sarah's cheeks. What followed shook me to the core, igniting a visceral reaction. In a subdued, tearful tone, Sarah confessed, 3 years during your late work evenings. Softly, almost inaudibly, she repeated, yes. Again, I lapsed into silence for a while before speaking. So you're telling me that for the past 3 years, those 2 nights each week when you worked late were the only times you were carnal with William? Yes, we never did it anywhere else, and I have so much to explain when you're ready to listen. So you're admitting that you've been having an affair with your boss twice a week for 3 years. You don't need to be a mathematician to figure out the frequency. Over 300 times, I assume you didn't stop at just once each time. Sarah, you've betrayed me over 500 times. Do you think any man could bear that? As tears continued to fall, I continued. You both must have found it amusing, ridiculing me as the clueless man. I can only imagine the insults hurled at me behind my back. Thank you, Sarah. I never imagined you capable of this. You've shattered our marriage and my heart. Johnny, it's not like that. But it is, I interjected sharply, instructing her to stop. Rising from the porch, I left her there, tears streaming, pleading for me to stay. Externally composed, internally raging, I retreated to regain control of my emotions. Betrayal was uncharted territory, and I needed time to process, to comprehend her words, and decide my next move. I needed someone to confide in, and the only person left was my brother, Tony. While we were close growing up, we followed different paths in life. Tony spent 5 years in federal prison for euphoria pills trafficking, mingling in risky circles. In contrast, I was a church attendee, a tax-paying accountant with a clean record. Though we didn't communicate often, Tony always leaned on me for support. I stood by him during his trial and managed to reduce his mandatory 20-year sentence to 5 years through my connections. That morning, I reached out to him. "Hey, Tony, it's me, your older brother." "Bro, how's it going? What's up? You sound troubled. Got something on your mind?" "Yeah, it's tough. Sarah cheated on me, and I just found out. I'm feeling torn up and hurting. Drinking doesn't help. I just needed to talk to someone. Sorry to unload this on you." "Wow, that's rough. I care about Sarah, too. Do you know who it was and how it happened?" "I know who, but not all the details yet. I want to get back at that guy. I'm so mad I could strangle my wife." "Listen, I've known people who've been through this. I get how you're feeling. You need to let go of that anger. Hit the gym, go for a run, whatever helps you chill out. I'll help you through this. Get the facts, then decide what to do. Stay composed even though it won't be easy. Call me tomorrow. Let me know what you find out. Trust me, I got your back." "Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. I'll give you a call tomorrow." On the way, I passed by a mattress store and had an idea. I parked, took the plunge, knowing I wasn't leaving the marriage until Angel went off to college in 2 years. There was no way I was sharing a bed with Sarah again. I wasn't budging from my bedroom. The rest would fall into place later. I told the salespeople I'd pay full price for 2 full-size beds with assembly and delivery scheduled for today at 4 p.m. I messaged Angel, informing her that I'd pick her up, drive to school, and wait in the parking lot. During lunch, I delicately broached the subject of upcoming changes at home. "What went down at dinner last night, Daddy? Something seemed off. I'm not clueless. Please don't keep me out of the loop. It's not right. You've always been upfront with me." "Fair enough. Given the gravity, you deserve to know. I caught your mom and her boss sharing a kiss backstage." "Dad, maybe it was just a congratulatory peck. You can't overreact to a kiss." "After our confrontation, she confessed to a 3-year affair. It's incomprehensible. Our dynamic has shifted permanently." 3 years? Are you thinking about divorcing her, Dad?" "Not immediately. I'm grappling with this. We'll stay married, but things will change. You need to stay impartial. She's your mom, and she loves you. This is between us. You've been a blessing, a stellar daughter. I don't want your life altered by our mistakes. Please reserve judgment. Just know we cherish you above all else." She wept, acknowledging the pain I felt. I didn't want her to feel guilty, but it was necessary for her to understand the changes in our household. Sarah's surprise was evident when she saw us arrive together. From Angel's expression, she knew what I had revealed. Angel shot her a glare and retreated to her room without a word. "Did you tell her?" "She sensed something was off and deserves to know. Our lives will shift, and she needs to grasp why. You can explain when she's ready." "What do you mean by everything changes? Divorce isn't on the table, right? If it ever happens, it won't be now. I want to see how this plays out. Plus, I wouldn't do that to Angel. But things will definitely be different starting today. Johnny, let me explain and try to understand. You're my husband, and I love you." "Well, you had lovemaking with William over 500 times behind my back. That's it." "Sarah, I don't know if there's anything you could say that any self-respecting man would accept. Do you think I'm that weak? Obviously, you're not serious. What breaks my heart is losing the closeness I cherished. I'll never share a bed with you again. I'll miss making love with you, but not as much as your affectionate kisses and hugs. That'll hurt the most. Other changes are inevitable. You broke our vows and our marriage contract. Like you, I won't be faithful anymore. I'll seek another relationship. I never considered it before, so it may be a while before I find someone I like. You can keep seeing your lover because you won't hear from me again." It was as if she had been struck in the head, visibly recoiling from my words. Losing her balance, she shuddered and collapsed onto the sofa. "Johnny, you can't see other women. It would destroy me, and I won't allow it. I love you. It's not how it seems." "I understand it's difficult, but let me try to explain, Sarah. 500 times behind my back, and now you're worried about consequences? You changed everything, Sarah. Don't forget this all happened because of your deceit, lies, and infidelity." At that moment, the doorbell chimed. I ushered in the installers and pointed them toward the bed that needed disassembly. They got to work. What's happening? Who are these people? Well, Sarah, since I'll never share a bed with you again, it wouldn't be fair for either of us to move into the spare room. So I bought 2 new beds. Our current bed is being taken apart now, and the new ones will be set up later. If you're not happy with the mattress, you have 3 months to choose another one. Separate beds? Yes, since we won't be carnal, I don't want you in my bed. I can't believe you're doing this. Yeah, and I can't believe you slept with your boss 500 times behind my back. So, we're even. I watched with a pang of sadness and remorse as the men dismantled the bed we had cherished for so long. Tony, you won't believe what I just found out. Sarah's been having an affair with her boss twice a week for the past 3 years. From what I gather, she's been with this guy over 500 times behind my back. I must be the most clueless man alive. She's humiliated me in ways I never thought possible, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Who's this guy? Her boss, William Aston. What do you want to do about it? I want him to suffer, to pay for what he's done in the worst way possible. This guy's been sleeping with my wife for years, then sending her home to me. He's betrayed and humiliated me for 3 years straight, and I can't just let it slide. And Sarah? She's dead to me. I'll divorce her once Angel's in college, and until then, I'm going to make her regret what she's done. For now, she'll live a lonely life because I'm shutting her out. If she tries to divorce me before Angel's in college, I'll ruin her career and expose her to everyone. You focus on Mr. Aston and I'll handle things at home. Tony, I don't want you getting in trouble. Don't do anything that could get you arrested, understand? Of course, brother. Don't worry about me. We'll talk soon. Following that, tensions at home were palpable. Sarah attempted conversation, but I responded with monosyllables. Though she tried to seek forgiveness, I remained hurt, angry, and resolute. I buried myself in work, returning home late each evening and spending weekends away. The atmosphere was tense, everyone walking on eggshells, anticipating my outburst. Returning home one evening after a long day, I found Sarah waiting to talk. After years of sharing a bed with the woman I loved, I now slept just a few feet away from her. It was a somber realization, and I wasn't sure how I'd cope for the next 2 years until Angel left for college. After my shower, as I settled into bed, Sarah inquired, "Johnny, how was your day?" "Fine," I responded curtly. "Johnny, I've been thinking. I want to talk to you and understand your thoughts. I know things aren't good between us, but I love you and I want to make things right, even if it's one step at a time. I was considering quitting my job. We don't really need the extra income, and I could spend more time at home with you. What do you think, baby?" Despite my efforts to control my anger, hearing her speak kindly and attempt to reconnect ignited fury within me. I sat down, speaking harshly, disregarding her stunned expression. "Listen, Sarah, I couldn't care less about what you do. Work, don't work. Sleep with your boss. Find someone new for all I care. It's your life. Do as you please. And don't call me baby or honey or anything else. Just Johnny. The more I think about it, the more convinced I am that you should keep your job and your rendezvous with William twice a week, because I'll never be with you again." I turned away, laying my head on the pillow. I heard Sarah start to cry, realizing the depth of pain her betrayal had caused me. "Johnny, you don't have to respond, but please let me speak. I can't express how sorry I am for hurting you. I want you to know I still love you. The pain I've caused is unbearable. Not being able to touch, kiss, or hug you is tearing me apart. Your coldness breaks my heart. I miss you in bed. I can't live without your love. I don't know how to fix this, but I don't want to lose you. I'm here whenever you're ready to talk, and I'm ready to tell you everything. The tension at home is affecting Angel. She's distancing herself more. Can we please find a way to coexist without this animosity? It's not fair to her. She's leaving in a few years, and we don't want her last memories here to be filled with hate." I sighed, realizing she was right. Angel shouldn't have to endure this. After a moment, to Sarah's surprise, I relented. "Fine, make an appointment and I'll go. But I'm doing this for Angel, not you." Sarah's face lit up, tears now of relief. "Oh, thank you, Johnny. I'll take care of it." The next evening, she informed me she found a therapist and had an appointment the following day. Our joint session was scheduled for Friday at 3 p.m. I knew Sarah was right. If we wanted to avoid divorce in the next 2 years, we had to find a way to coexist peacefully. Angel was hopeful about counseling, yearning for a chance to mend our family. It was the first time she smiled in weeks. "Johnny, Angel was thrilled about the couple's counseling. Her smile was priceless when I shared the news, Sarah mentioned that evening. Each night after work, I'd head out for dinner, avoiding spending time with Sarah. However, deep down, I yearned to be home with my daughter, missing her smile, hugs, and the sound of her calling me daddy. Sarah attended her individual session, returning home that evening emotionally drained. Upon finding her in tears, I realized it must have been challenging for her to confront the extent of her betrayal to our family. Despite this, I found myself lacking any sympathy or compassion for the woman who shattered my heart. Later that week, my brother Tony called, hinting at owed favors from former cartel acquaintances. Although the cartel was known for their ruthlessness, they remained faithful to their debts. Tony assured me that soon, justice would be served, leaving me with little need to know more. Tony reached out to a contact, briefing them on the situation, ensuring they grasped its seriousness, and assigning them the task. He emphasized the need for a memorable outcome, providing the necessary details, the target's name, workplace, and phone number. With this information, Tony left the execution to them, fully aware it would be brutal. The target, William Aston's residence. Positioned across the street, a white van waited as William arrived home, and a young man approached his door moments later. Though William survived the encounter, he faced a life-altering reality without the use of his fingers, fully aware of the reason behind his plight. Despite never envisioning such repercussions, especially from the unassuming accountant, William's involvement with Sarah, aside from his wife, led to heartbreak when Johnny discovered their affair. Sarah and William, once viewing themselves as a couple, shared moments of love during their clandestine encounters, initially believing their actions harmless. However, the ramifications soon became evident. William faced termination, requiring psychiatric treatment and facing medical challenges, all while forfeiting his passion for golf. Their seemingly perfect liaison resulted in irreversible consequences, underscoring the impact of choices. When I met with Dr. Doris Winters, the consultant, things unfolded just as I anticipated. Dr. Winters initiated the conversation, saying, "Johnny, Sarah and I had a meeting this week. She filled me in on everything, and I explained our session dynamics to her. Thank you for being here and trying to navigate your way back. Please be honest in your responses, and rest assured that confidentiality is paramount. I've heard it all, so nothing will shock me. I say this so you can feel at ease speaking openly to a stranger." I nodded, awaiting the next steps. "Sarah, please share with Johnny what you aim to achieve from these sessions." My wife, tearful, looked at me and expressed, "Johnny, there's so much I need to say. I want to rebuild our family, to reconnect with you emotionally and physically. I want us to find our way back to each other, to how things used to be." Her sincerity was palpable, though it pained me to witness her anguish over my lost affection. Nevertheless, I remained composed, silently observing as she dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. "Mr. Parks, what do you hope to gain from these sessions?" "Dr. Winters, I want to rid myself of the fixation on the number 500. If we can achieve that, I believe we can regain some semblance of normalcy." Sarah flinched and averted her gaze upon hearing 500. "Mr. Parks, I'm puzzled. What significance does this number hold? And why is it imperative to purge it from your thoughts?" "Doris, may I call you Doris?" "Let's stick with Dr. Winters for now, all right?" "Very well, doctor," I retorted sarcastically. "Considering your recent session with Sarah, I assumed this number would have come up." I turned to Sarah and queried, "Did you overlook this detail?" "Please, Mr. Parks, let's focus. Could you elaborate on the number 500? "All right. As you're aware, given my profession, numbers carry weight for me. What my dear wife failed to mention is that Sarah has engaged in physical relations with William over 500 times in the past 3 years. This figure is etched in my mind, haunting me whenever I see Sarah. She betrayed me with this man 500 times behind my back," I stated, seething with anger and sorrow. A somber silence ensued until emotions subsided. "Mr. Parks, I empathize with your pain, but such language is uncalled for. It's offensive and unwarranted. I apologize, and it won't happen again. However, it was necessary to convey my anguish and perspective," I asserted firmly. Sarah wept, repeating, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Finally, as my outburst quelled, I felt a sense of relief. "Once more, I apologize for my outburst. To address your query, I seek a path to forgive Sarah to the extent that we can create a home free of animosity and resentment. Our daughter shouldn't bear the brunt of her mother's indiscretions. I aspire to cultivate a peaceful household. Thank you, Mr. Parks. Over the following weeks, I made an effort to communicate in a friendly manner, devoid of bitterness. Home life improved somewhat, not perfect, but better. Angel spent more time at home, and we attempted to engage in typical couple activities like dining out, going to the movies, and socializing with friends. However, it was apparent to everyone that there was a complete lack of closeness between us. I refrained from holding Sarah's hand, kissing her, or allowing her to touch me, prompting concerned inquiries from friends who noticed the stark contrast from our previous years of marriage. Despite our evident struggles, we persevered. When Sarah learned about William's accident, she was taken aback. Though William remained silent about the incident, Sarah suspected my desire for revenge and possibly my involvement. That evening, she observed my reaction as she recounted the break-in at her former boss's house and the ensuing attack. My response, a fleeting smile and a casual remark, drew her attention. "Really? Is that all you have to say?" Her tone struck a nerve, prompting me to glare at her. "Oh, forgive me for not shedding tears over your lover's misfortune. Shall we send him flowers, dear?" With averted eyes, she ended the conversation. Sarah understood the implication. My involvement in William's ordeal could jeopardize any progress we had made. Earlier in the week, Tony had sent me a message with a thumbs-up emoji, marking our last communication for several months. As things settled, I wondered if the police would uncover Sarah and William's affair and question me about the attack. However, no such investigation occurred. The police eventually classified the incident as an open case, and the perpetrators and motive remained elusive. As promised, Johnny began dating and staying out late into the night. When Sarah attempted to question him, she realized it was best to mind her own business and avoid causing any trouble. Johnny clarified that they were only married in name and were living together for the sake of their daughter. Gradually, they managed to maintain a polite facade towards each other, making their home life outwardly tolerable. Sarah finally grasped the extent of the hurt she had caused her husband, with no way to undo it. Johnny preserved the appearance of their family life by warning her that he would expose her affair to their family and friends and make her life miserable if she pursued a divorce. Before Angel left for college, Sarah felt married but lonely, lacking the love she once lived for. The hugs, kisses, and affection that once defined her life were now lost, shared with two men who were no longer hers. She continued to lead a melancholic existence, knowing her husband was enjoying himself with another woman, which only added to her anguish. Although counseling offered some solace, Sarah walked a solitary path, knowing Johnny would never forget her devastating betrayal. She acknowledged her own role in destroying the marriage and the man she loved through her vanity, selfishness, and folly. Angel, who adored her mother, offered no sympathy. Instead, she reminded Sarah that she had brought this upon herself. Despite her love for Sarah, Angel could never forgive her for inflicting so much pain on her father. Meanwhile, William found himself unemployed and divorced, living in a modest apartment on a tight budget. He surrendered nearly 70% of his possessions and the house where his ex-wife, Joy, would reside for another decade until their youngest child turned 18. Struggling with depression and physical limitations, he was ironically abandoned by both the women he once loved and had affairs with, ending up alone and unwanted, just as his assailants had promised. His amputated limbs served as constant reminders of his affair with Sarah. A year post-divorce, William met a tragic end, struck by a truck. Witnesses claimed he walked into traffic without a backward glance. Officially deemed accidental, those close to him believed it was self-destruction. Sarah comprehended his despair and even contemplated a similar fate. After their affair, Sarah and William never exchanged words again, both enduring torment from their infidelity in distinct yet equally agonizing ways. Once Angel departed for college, Johnny arrived home with divorce papers. Initially tempted to wreak havoc on Sarah's finances, he opted for an equitable split. Though he forgave her over the years, the love he once held faded irretrievably. Sarah, unsurprised by the papers, signed them without contest, acknowledging her role in the dissolution of their union. Despite her shattered faith in love, she found solace in the prospect of a fresh start, determined never to stray again. Divorcing the woman he adored proved excruciating for Johnny, laden with remorse. He longed to undo the past or find forgiveness for Sarah, yet the specter of 500 inches haunted him relentlessly. They sold the house and divided assets. Johnny embarked on a fling with Trisha, a dancer 15 years his junior, seeking distraction rather than love. Eventually, amid newfound joy, he discovered in Trisha a partner worth cherishing. Sarah clung to hope for reconciliation upon learning of Johnny's remarriage, yet her self-reproach remained unrelenting. Despite dating, she never found love, her appearance and spirit diminishing over time. Though close to Angel, she never heard from Johnny again, enduring a life overshadowed by the pain she inflicted. Johnny ensured Angel's college expenses were covered. Pursuing a career in psychology, Angel married a doctor and led a fulfilling life, steadfast in fidelity. Raising a large family, she maintained close ties with both Johnny and Sarah, diverging from her mother's path to forge a legacy of commitment and love.